There's a lot of different aspects that go into preparing a concert. I think a lot of times, from an audience perspective or an outside perspective, we see kind of the process from the middle, which is when we see the musicians all start to get together to sit in a group and rehearse together. But that process actually begins far before that. So the very first thing that I do when approaching a new piece of music, or even reworking something that I've done before, many years ago, the first thing that I do is listen to it. Every once in a while, we'll receive some new composition that we're the first ones to play it, that maybe even has been written for whatever group I'm with, in which case we don't have something to listen to. But we always begin by listening, so you have a point of reference for where you're beginning. And then, like any artist, I think what we tend to do is try and look at the big picture. And so I know where I want to end up. I know what I want to have as a final performance. But then I kind of think about that as what components need to go into that. And so I organize my own practice time at my studio in my home to ensure that by the time that I get to that first day that I'm with my colleagues sitting in the whole group to rehearse together, that I already have gotten everything completely learned. And that my whole time working with my colleagues is collaborative time, and that time isn't used to fix my own parts of my music, but rather to collaborate and coordinate and listen and get to really start to make some cool things happen with the other musicians on stage. We mostly always have music in front of us when we're playing, but there certainly are some situations where there's some memorization. Typically, in the orchestra setting, where we all have the music, but certainly there are times when the page turns don't work out well or whatever, and so you'll memorize some sections. I would say that I more or less naturally memorize almost all of what I play, because part of being a good orchestra musician is really engaging with the conductor, and it's really hard to do a really effective way of engaging with the conductor if your face is buried in your music all the time. So definitely anything that's really important in my parts, I do try and memorize so I can have my eyes up, and also the audience likes to see your face, up and looking out. Yeah, in my level, like in the symphony that I perform with, we have anywhere from 2 to 4 rehearsals for each concert. So that's all the time we get together. Wow. And we receive our music, we receive our music 2 weeks exactly to the day before a first rehearsal. So you have 2 weeks to practice it on your own at home. And then, depending on the concert, the maximum number of rehearsals we get is 4. And those usually happen within the course of 3 days. We do 2 single-day rehearsals, and then the third day we actually do 2 rehearsals with a dinner break, and then we perform. So you learn that you better be ready, because there's no time to get ready after that initial, rehearsal starts. It's go time. That would really depend on the program, obviously. Some are harder than others. Some also may have more stuff that you're like, well, I played that 10 years ago, I at least remember it, versus some others where everything could be totally new to you. I would say the minimum amount of time that I would put into something like that would be, 20 hours. Just to make sure that, everything is super, super smooth and solid. And we're expected to show up, pretty much performance ready.